Welcome back to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love series.
Ah, yes.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into a case
Okay.
that really truly shook India in 2014.
Right.
The tragic story of Shruti and Yogesh Sharma,
Mm-hmm.
a young couple from Meerut whose love story
Yes.
was cut short by violence.
So at it.
Get ready, because
Yeah.
we're about to unpack a story where love collides
Love and violence.
head-on with societal pressures
It's a common theme, unfortunately.
and ends in a devastating climax.
It is. What makes this case so compelling,
Mm.
is how it shines a light on the immense pressure young couples face when love clashes with deeply rooted traditions.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in a place like Meerut,
Right.
known for its conservative values.
Okay, so let's start by getting to know Shruti and Yogesh.
All right.
In a picture for us, who were they as individuals?
All right. Shruti, a vibrant 21-year-old college student,
Mm-hmm.
dreamt of becoming a teacher. Imagine her, shaping young minds, passing on knowledge,
Yeah,
inspiring a whole new generation. It speaks volumes about her character, don't you think?
I think so, yeah.
Ambitious and driven to make a difference.
That's powerful, wanting to impact the world
Mm-hmm.
in such a positive way.
Right.
And Yogesh.
Yogesh, at 24, was already a hardworking entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
He ran his own small electronics shop, you see.
Really?
Clearly a go-getter, determined to build a good life.
Yeah.
Not just for himself, but for Shruti, too.
Ah.
Everything points to a young man
Yeah.
deeply in love
Mm-hmm.
and committed to their future.
It's almost like a modern day
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet, isn't it?
Right.
Two young people from different worlds,
Yeah.
united by love and determined to defy the odds.
Well, yes, but of course there were those odds.
Right.
Major societal barriers.
Can you talk about the role of caste
Ah.
in their story?
Yes.
And why it became such a point of conflict,
Caste. It's something that weighs heavily on Indian society.
I imagine.
Think of it as a deeply rooted social hierarchy
Okay.
that can affect every single aspect of your life, your career, your social circle,
Wow.
and crucially, in this case, who you can love.
Yeah.
In many communities, even today, marrying outside your caste is still a major taboo, something that can bring shame upon the entire family.
So knowing that context, how did Trudy's family?
Well, their disapproval was immediate and intense.
Really?
They saw it as a threat to their reputation.
Oh, wow.
Their standing within the community. Imagine the whispers, the judgment,
I see.
the fear of losing face. It's a heavy burden to carry in a place where social conformity is everything.
It must have been incredibly difficult for Shruti and Yogesh
Oh, it was.
to navigate those family dynamics
Yes.
while trying to build a life together. Did they try to reconcile with her family at all?
Oh, they tried. They truly did. But Shruti's family, particularly her father, Ravindra Tiwari, remained staunchly opposed. They imposed restrictions on Shruti,
Oh, no.
limited her freedom, desperate to control the situation. It's a classic example of how societal norms can be used to suppress individual choice, especially for women.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
What were Shruti and Yogesh's reactions
At all.
to these restrictions? Did they simply accept their fate?
They were young, in love, and unwilling to let tradition dictate their future.
Right.
They defied the restrictions, fueled by the fire of their love.
Right.
They made plans to elope, to build a life together,
Yeah.
far away from the disapproving eyes of their community.
That took courage. But you said this story ends in tragedy.
It does.
What happened?
On September 15th, 2014, Shruti and Yogesh vanish.
Oh, wow.
They had met at their usual spot
Okay.
on the outskirts of Velut,
Mm-hmm.
a place where they could steal a few moments of peace together,
Okay.
away from the pressures of their families and community.
Yeah.
And then they simply disappeared.
Where did they go?
Wow.
Was there any sign of them?
2 days later, their bodies were found in a secluded forest.
Oh, my gosh.
Imagine the shock, the horror that gripped the community when the news spread.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Shruti had been strangled, and Yogesh had been savagely beaten.
Oh, my goodness.
The brutality was unimaginable. It painted a picture of pure rage, a chilling premeditation.
Right.
It wasn't simply a crime of passion. It was something far more sinister.
It sounds like they were targeted.
Yeah.
Was there any initial suspicion as to who might have been behind this?
Given the family's strong disapproval and the sheer brutality of the crime, suspicion immediately fell on Shruti's family.
Right.
After all, they had the most to lose, in their eyes, from Shruti and Yogesh's relationship.
So did the police start investigating them right away?
The investigation immediately kicked into high gear.
Wow.
The police began gathering evidence, talking to witnesses, and slowly but surely, they started piecing together a chilling narrative.
Oh, wow.
A narrative that would send shivers down your spine.
I can only imagine.
The police really had their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
Remember, this was 2014 in Meerut.
Right.
Not exactly a place known for, cutting-edge forensic technology.
So how did they approach the investigation?
Well,
what were the early leads?
The first step was, of course, talking to people.
Okay.
Those closest to Shruti and Yogesh.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that their neighbors played a crucial role.
Really?
They had witnessed the escalating tensions firsthand.
So these weren't just casual acquaintances,
No.
but people who knew the family dynamics.
Exactly. Some had overheard heated arguments
Oh, wow.
between Shruti and her family.
Yeah.
Others recalled seeing Shruti's father, Ravindra, and her brother, Sandeep, behaving suspiciously around the time of the couple's disappearance. It was like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And each piece of information added another layer to the picture.
So the family was already in the spotlight.
Right.
But that's still circumstantial, right?
Right.
You need more than suspicion to build a solid case.
And that's where the forensic evidence comes in.
Okay.
Now remember, this was a brutal crime scene.
Right.
Shruti strangled Yogesh, savagely beaten.
It's hard to even imagine.
The autopsy reports were chilling,
Yeah.
highlighting the sheer force used, the rage behind each blow.
The level of violence is really disturbing.
It is.
It almost feels personal, wouldn't you say?
It certainly points to a deep-seated anger,
Yeah.
a desire not just to kill,
Right.
but to punish.
Yeah.
And the forensic team didn't stop there.
Okay.
They meticulously combed through the crime scene. And you know what they found?
What?
Crucial pieces of evidence
Okay.
directly linking the murders to Shruti's family.
DNA evidence.
You got it.
I've seen enough crime shows to know that's a game changer.
DNA analysis on items found at the scene matched both Shruti's father and brother.
Wow.
And with that, the pieces of the puzzle started falling into place.
Yeah, okay.
This wasn't just a random act of violence. It was a carefully planned act, fueled by, dare I say, a twisted sense of honor.
It's hard to even comprehend that a family could do something like this.
It is.
But I guess that brings us to the next major development in the case, right? The confessions.
This is where things take an even darker turn.
Okay.
Under interrogation, both Ravindra and Sandeep confessed to the murders,
Wow.
providing chilling details of their plan.
Oh my gosh.
Think about it. Shruti and Yogesh,
Yeah.
yearning for their family's approval,
Right.
lured into a trap set by the very people who were supposed to protect them.
It's almost Shakespearean, it's betrayal, isn't it?
It is.
So what did they say? What
Yeah.
drove them to commit such a heinous act?
Their confessions revealed a deeply disturbing motive.
Okay.
Honor.
I don't
They
know.
believed that Shruti's relationship with Yogesh, someone from a different caste,
Yeah.
had brought shame upon their family.
Right.
And the only way to restore that honor,
I see.
in their warped worldview,
Yeah.
was to eliminate the source of the shame.
It's a tragic irony, isn't it?
It is a terrible irony.
Committing an act of horrific violence in the name of something as noble as honor.
I know.
And all because of a love that dared to cross societal boundaries.
Their confessions were incredibly detailed, describing how they carried out the murders,
Yeah.
the weapons they used, even how they tried to dispose of the bodies.
It's just unimaginable.
It sent shockwaves through India,
Right.
raising serious questions about the role of tradition and the price of defying it.
It's hard to imagine the media frenzy that must have followed.
Oh, absolutely.
This wasn't just a local crime.
No,
It touched upon a sensitive nerve in Indian society.
absolutely. The case quickly gained national attention,
Okay.
putting a spotlight on the horrific reality of honor killings in India.
Right.
It became a symbol of the clash between tradition and modernity,
Yeah.
a stark reminder of the dangers of rigid social structures.
It's fascinating how a single case can ignite such widespread debate and introspection.
It's because this case, tragic as it is, wasn't an isolated incident.
Yeah.
It forced people to confront a reality they perhaps had been ignoring, that in the name of tradition, in the name of honor,
Right.
lives were being taken, choices denied,
Yeah.
and love itself was being punished.
And so with the confessions, with the forensic evidence,
Right.
with the nation watching the case move to trial.
Yes.
A trial that would not only determine the fate of Ravindra and Sandeep,
Right.
but would also, in many ways, serve as a judgment on the deep-rooted prejudices that led to this horrific crime.
Absolutely.
We've spent the last two parts of this deep dive unraveling the twisted threads of this case, haven't we?
We have.
From Shruti and Yogesh's hopes and dreams
Yeah.
to the chilling details of their murders and the family's shocking confessions, it's been a heavy journey.
It has, and now we find ourselves at the trial, a courtroom packed with anticipation, the weight of public scrutiny heavy in the air. Everyone wanted to see justice served to understand how something so horrific could have happened.
What were the key arguments presented by the prosecution and the defense?
The prosecution, armed with a mountain of evidence, painted a clear picture of premeditation.
Okay.
They argued that the murders were a calculated act driven by a deeply ingrained sense of honor,
Right.
a belief system where a family's reputation was valued above an individual's life, especially a woman's.
Yeah.
They presented the forensic evidence, the witness testimonies, and of course the chilling confessions, all pointing to a meticulously planned crime.
It sounds like an open and shut case, but I imagine the defense had their own strategy.
Right.
What was their angle?
The defense knew they were fighting an uphill battle, so they shifted the focus, attempting to portray Ravindra and Sandeep as victims themselves.
Oh, wow.
Caught in the grip of immense societal pressure,
I see.
they argued that the murders weren't premeditated,
Okay.
but rather a tragic act of passion,
Right.
a desperate attempt to salvage their family's honor in a society where tradition reigned supreme.
So essentially they were playing on the cultural context,
Right.
the power of societal norms,
It-
to try and explain, if not justify, the actions of Shruti's father and brother.
It was a classic clash of perspectives.
Yeah.
Individual choice versus societal pressure love versus tradition modernity versus deeply ingrained beliefs.
And what about Shruti and Yogesh? Were their voices heard in the courtroom?
The trial, while focused on the perpetrators,
Right.
also brought Shruti and Yogesh's story back into the spotlight.
Yeah.
Their friends, their classmates, those who knew them best painted a vivid picture of their love, their aspirations, their defiance in the face of opposition. It was a reminder that this wasn't just a case about a crime, it was about two lives tragically cut short, a love story brutally silenced.
Was the verdict, did the court side with the prosecution's argument of premeditation, or did they give weight to the defense's claims of societal pressure?
After weeks of intense proceedings, the jury reached a verdict guilty. Both Ravindra and Sandeep were convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. It was a powerful message, a clear statement that honor killings would not be tolerated regardless of cultural context or societal pressure.
That must have sent shockwaves through those communities where honor killings were still seen as a way to protect family reputation.
Absolutely. The court, in its sentencing, condemned the act as barbaric and a violation of basic human rights. It was a landmark judgment, a step towards recognizing individual choice and challenging the deeply ingrained belief that fueled such violence.
It feels like a victory for Shruti and Yogesh, even though it can't bring them back.
It was their story. Their fight for love became a catalyst for change. The case sparked nationwide debate, putting the spotlight on the need for legal reform, for greater awareness, for empowering women to make their own choices.
So what can we learn from this tragic case? What's the takeaway for us, for our listeners?
This deep dive wasn't just about unraveling a crime, was it?
No.
It was about confronting the dark underbelly of tradition, the dangers of blind obedience to societal norms. It's about recognizing that love, individual choice, and the right to life should never be sacrificed at the altar of so-called honor.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in challenging these harmful practices, in creating a world where love, not violence, defines our values.
Exactly. Shruti and Yogesh's story, tragic as it is, can be a beacon guiding us towards a future where every individual, regardless of gender or social standing, has the right to love freely and live without fear.
A powerful message to end on. Thank you for joining us on this journey, for taking this deep dive with us. If this case has resonated with you, if it sparked any thoughts or reflections, we encourage you to share your views in the comments below. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel for more deep dives into the stories that matter.